Hello and welcome to Cabal Whisperings. Today we're going to be discussing Ahsoka. Um, today's date is what is today's date?
It's 22nd.
22nd. So, which I think we discussed that it as originally Ahsoka was supposed to come out tomorrow, but it was again instead released today at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, my name is Jim. Today I'm joined by my son Owen and Bobby over here.
Hello.
Um, so what we're going to kind of go over is first we're going to kind of do our general impressions about the first two episodes of Ahsoka, and then after that we're going to go into kind of spoiler territory, our thoughts, and
Yeah, we'll make it clear that we're about to go into spoilers since it just came out for those who don't want to hear spoilers.
I do apologize if even general impressions give off any spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
We're gonna try it. We're gonna try it. All right. So, Owen, kind of start with you. What was your first general impression? What did you think about the show just overall?
I thought the show overall was pretty well paced, but I did feel it drag in a few areas.
Okay, that's understandable. Um, I thought, well, one, they've brought space back into it and actually had some vehicles doing something. For a
Yeah.
show about Star Wars, it's nice to actually see something that has to do with that. Um, I mean, the like I say, but general impression so far. I mean, special effects again look great. I can say most of the dialogue was pretty good. There were some times where it's like, I mean, I was able to tell ahead of time that, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen. This is going to be the way that that's going to go. And I mean,
Yeah, I think it was one scene in particular that we're not going to mention here for the spoiler part.
but it's like, okay, let's. But for the most part, people acted like they're like people would act, um, and stuff like that. And I mean, overall, it like I said, it looked good. It's nice to see, characters that we saw. Obviously the characters in the trailer, but you see, characters from the from other shows and whatever that kind of come in and
Primarily rebels thus far, but yeah.
um, which I mean that's all in the trailer. So if you've watched the trailers, you've seen that in there, and I think they were pretty good representations of the characters that they're supposed to be. I know I was kind of nerding out on some of the starships that were in there because it's also good to actually see, actually some of those ships are from the extended the EU. So
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a huge spoiler to go ahead and just mention which ship in particular you're talking about.
well, I guess it was in the trailer too. The E-wing,
Yeah.
which is definitely an EU ship, which is kind of good to see with that, and I mean and then some of the ships from Rebels and even the original series making an appearance back in there. So
Yeah, I thought it looked and felt like Star Wars,
yeah,
which is a big plus.
a lot of shows and movies have lost that feeling in a way. So it's kind of good that yeah, I agree with that. I think it's nice to kind of get that feel back.
Yeah, there were. I think there were little hints of some of the music, some of the older music and the current music. Um, there was another feature that it kind of is a spoiler that it's there, so I'm going to wait till the spoilers to mention it. But it definitely started us off on the right note. Um, it was interesting. I don't think it's a spoiler to see Lothal in. I mean, it's CGI, but live action. To see that like a real setting instead of just the animated series, and just seeing the characters from the animated series, at least the ones we've seen thus far, as live action was interesting. Nice. Didn't realize uh, who who was playing Harrison Dula until I saw the end credits. There it was Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Like the whole time I was staring at her, I was like, she looks familiar, but I can't place her. And now I know who it is.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell what someone looks like when they have head tentacles on their head.
And green skin, sure, yeah. For those of you who are unaware of who that is, she is Scott Pilgrim's love interest in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. the one he is fighting everyone to get to.
Okay.
But yeah, and like Jim said, we've got some space action going on thus far. Um, had some things that I'm not going to go into because of spoilers, but I think we either missed some stuff towards the end of Rebels, or I missed some episodes, or some things happened after the end of the show between these shows that we're just supposed to assume happened. But again, I missed a lot of the episodes of the last season, so they might have all been in there. So we'll talk about that in the spoilers here in a minute. But yeah, other than that, it's just nice to, like I said, see a show that feels like Star Wars again. That there's some mystery to it, because even though we know where all this plot has to wind up eventually, we don't know what all's going on here thus far. It's so far not just a copy paste of the Thrawn trilogy. Could get there, but we're not there yet.
But it is showing signs that they are looking at EU material, extended universe material. It feels like,
Yeah,
to draw some of the ideas and stuff on that.
yeah, and we'll get to our speculation on that in the spoilers, because some of it is based on what happens in the episode. So, yeah.
So, any other, with us here talking, Owen, is there anything else that you felt? And if there's not, that's fine. I mean, um, Owen's still trying to get used to the whole podcast format and not having something scripted out to talk. So, I don't think me and Bobby also didn't start off as windbags at the beginning to
No.
to start talking. It was more just direct focus stuff. So,
Yeah, I do have one other thought, and this isn't a spoiler as far as the plot. I suppose it could be considered a spoiler, but it's one I don't give a shit about explaining. So here goes. We actually had what sounded to me like a rock song of some kind at one point in one of the episodes. Which
yeah,
I'm pretty sure is a first for the Star Wars franchise, for it to not just be classical music.
but it would make sense because
Yeah, I'm assuming it's supposed to be what the character's listening to at that particular moment in time. And we'll get, maybe in the spoilers, we'll talk about when and where it pops up and everything. But
well, and it made me wonder if in the one bar on Coruscant when Obi-Wan and Anakin were in there, if they didn't have maybe some sort of
I have to go back and watch Attack of the Clones, which I really don't want to do.
no.
Yeah, let's find that clip on YouTube.
Because they definitely had like robot sports on there.
Yeah, and there was a guy selling death sticks. Needed to go and rethink his life.
So, but I think at least with the general overall whatever, I think that is kind of where we leave it off on that. I think it's about time.
Yeah, not non-spoilery. I'm hopeful for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
I don't see any big problems that are going to weigh it down so far. So
Yeah, like I said, I think it feels to be competently written, and I don't know, maybe they're trying to go for a little more fan service on the way it's going.
Could be.
Like I said, the E-wing would be definitely a step in the right direction because it's showing that they're looking to outside things for that. So, all right.
So the spoiler zone.
Yes, and so now we're going to actually talk about the episodes themselves. So there were 2 episodes that were.
So, if I may, just for one moment here, real quick, Jim. As you mentioned, we're about to go into spoilers. So, just as a few other notes, those of you who are listening to this, this is on our long form single topic podcast. Check out the weekly episodes if you like what you're hearing here. We cover a variety of topics, and also our videos. And very shortly, I'm going to be taking some of the older videos that can get by with just audio only and putting them into this particular podcast. So if you came to us through this method, there's going to be some other material that's on our video side that's going to show up in here. I'm going to be looking for things that have better audio quality, because some things towards the beginning don't have the greatest audio quality, and all you're doing is listening. And even though I think the content's good, and I still get interactions with videos I did like 6 months ago from it, I don't know if the audio content is. I don't know if the audio quality is there. So I'm going to go through video by video, and but I'm going to put a little blurb at the beginning, just in case you're also one of our video fans, so you're not just going over the same thing over again, unless you want to. Well, I encourage you to. But anyway, just some housekeeping notes on that. And going forward, if we can, we're going to try to do this for the other episodes as well. Time permitting, we just got to see how our schedules work out. And the only other thing is, you might want to check out our video that we did a while ago comparing The Mandalorian Season 3 and Picard Season 3. And I think Chad and Chad's another member of our group, for those of you who don't know. I believe we also did a couple reviews for Andor as it was premiering. I think like the first few episodes and then one towards the end, kind of wrapping it all up. You might want to check that out if you're a big Star Wars fan. So, just a little bit of housekeeping before everyone tunes out here for the spoilers, which are going to start now.
All right. So I think kind of going into well, one, I did like the fact that they actually had a mural of the rebels, like the animated style in
Yeah.
in the thing at Lothal, so that there was actually a connection, so you could say, okay, well, here's what they look like in the Rebels cartoon, because obviously, I think it was supposed to be that Sabine graffitied that, and
That
then
makes sense.
because she was all big into doing graffiti work and such, so
Yeah.
and I believe that communication tower she was in was the one that Ezra was in Rebels.
Yeah, I assumed that it was something like that. It's been a while since I watched any of Rebels, but I assumed that was like their base or something.
Yeah,
Show.
and
Because Lothal seems to be a giant city and then planet of wheat fields.
yes,
So-
and endless highways that they always want to show them speeding down and doing things.
The highways that just end.
Yeah, they just kind of stop.
I mean, I guess in the first episode they definitely wanted to show that Sabine was still a rebel because every single time somebody told her to do something, she would do the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And at some point, you're like, all she had to do is be like, hey, how about you come over to my place and watch me do this if you're so worried about it. So it starts off with Ahsoka looking for this map.
Well, if I may, Jim, just one quick comment.
Yeah.
I mentioned there was something towards the beginning. This has an opening crawl,
Oh, yes.
which has some information in it, but just setting that tone. I mean, even Rogue One didn't get an opening crawl, so that was a major improvement in my opinion.
And but they did differentiate it as it's not a crawl like.
Yeah, it looked different. It was a different style, but we're used to it from the films, and I think personally, I think it was a major mistake not having that in front of Rogue One and Solo. Even though Rogue One's would have been like, "Hey, did you see A New Hope?" This is like 10 minutes before that.
Yeah.
But still, it could have used it, and it would have made it, given it that good start. And that's why I think they were really smart to put it in here. Even though I don't think there's anything earth shattering in it, but it was a good start.
But it did mention and I think it was season 2 of The Mandalorian. I think I have to look it up, but one of the characters from The Mandalorian is kind of the
episode that was a preview for this series, basically.
Yes.
Just like we strongly suspect one of these episodes is going to turn into a Mandalorian episode.
And I think, yeah, and I don't know if it was actually mentioned in The Mandalorian that was and what was her name? Gosh darn it.
Just keep going. What you thought?
Well, like I say, the current bad right now. So they mentioned that that they're looking for Thrawn. They're looking for a map to find Thrawn. But the person that's doing the searching right now, the current bad, is I guess a former witch of Dathomir, which I don't think was mentioned in The Mandalorian. And if it was, I don't know that that was mentioned. But for whatever reason, in the Dathomirian temple on another planet, not even on Dathomir, is a map that shows where Thrawn's at. Supposedly, I mean, we'll have to see what that does and what that leads to. But so yeah, you start with a little bit of a map hunt.
Morgan Elsbeth, I believe is her name.
Well, the episode doesn't start with the map hunt. It starts with the main bad right now getting freed from her.
Oh yes. Sorry. Yes, you're right. Yes. Which I like. I like the fact that it starts with a like, okay, we got some Jedis that want into board, and you're thinking, okay, well, I know this show's called Ahsoka. It's probably Ahsoka and somebody else, and now it turns out to be. I'm not. I'm not. I don't believe that they're Sith. I don't. I don't. They don't announce themselves as Sith, but they don't. They said they're definitely not Jedi.
Well,
But they do have an Inquisitor with
Ray
them.
Stevenson's character was a former Jedi, or at least he has a former Jedi's lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and he seems to be following the master apprentice system, which I guess the Sith also do. But his apprentice appeared to have a Padawan braid. So
I mean, it could be Dark Jedi. It could
yeah,
be.
they could just be dark Jedi who are not Sith. Because I think we talked about that real recent, like in the last podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, because we did a combination of how the Jedi you could have the full on Jedi, the gray Jedi, and then the dark Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I say the last podcast. It will actually come up after this one comes up, but we recorded it before this. So this one's hopefully going to be going up like tomorrow or tonight.
But yes, as my son likes to prove me wrong, that yes, it did start off with a capital ship getting a ship landing on it, a couple of supposed Jedi's which weren't, freeing Morgan, and then the adventure begins with Ahsoka trying to find the map. So um, I just I'm waiting to try to figure out how a map on you know from Dathomirian witches will find where Thrawn's at.
Well, okay, I didn't watch the very end of Rebels, as I already mentioned, but I believe he and Ezra somehow got taken away by the space whales. And I'm guessing the Dathomiri witches know where the whales went. Like they know where their home planet or whatever is.
Okay. Okay.
And they've known that for a while. And so since they know that the whales took them, they know that's where they went. Because you're right, why would there be a thousands of year old temple that talks about something that happened like 10 years ago?
Hey, it's still better than the dagger.
Oh, the dagger.
Oh.
Oh, you just had to bring up the sequel trilogy, didn't you?
Somehow,
Yeah, if you weren't, I was probably going to.
Because I mean, as a like I had no problem with the Sith Wayfinders, fine, but the fact that somebody had to carve a dagger to look like the wreckage of the Death Star, which was in an ocean that was constantly beating at it, which means at some point in time
You would think it would corrode eventually.
that the dagger wouldn't line up, and you had to be in that specific spot to get it to line up.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's like a 10,000-year-old Sith relic or something. Someone knew what was going to happen in the future and made it.
but let's get back to the show here.
Okay, well then, go for it.
So she's able to find the map orb, so to speak, but she gets attacked by some droids that have very powerful self-destruct mechanisms.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. They take what the Predator had and said, we want that. We want
We want that, but can we literally go nuclear with this? Seems to be what they went with. Also, as revealed in episode 2, those were definitely HK models of some kind.
yes.
So
That's a good that's why, and I'm wondering if they're not pulling some stuff from Knights of the Old Republic with the HK models. There's just things out there that makes me think that they're gonna go.
yeah, you've got that. The way the star map looked an awful lot like the map to the Star Forge, at least in conception. Not in terms of like where it's pointing. Maybe.
Yeah, I was waiting to hear mention Rakatan Prime or.
Well, she mentioned it was an ancient race from another galaxy. So, Owen, how'd you put it?
A galaxy far, far away from a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. The plot's going to take us to another galaxy, apparently. So, yeah, there's that going for him.
But no, I mean it was nice to actually get to Corellia again. So we haven't been. I don't think we've been there since the Solo movie.
Yeah, I think Solo was the only time we've gone there in the movie in live action.
Now, the one thing I was wondering, because they were talking about that they were decommissioning Star Destroyers on Corellia, but they had I'm assuming by that point they would have also captured Kuat drive yards, which you think would be the place to disassemble.
Well, remember in Solo they were building the Star Destroyers there too.
Okay,
So,
and that may be because I always thought that.
because I have to assume that there's more than one place that they're built with the sheer number of them.
And I do know that the New Republic was building a particular craft where they were pretty much dismantling a Star Destroyer and reforming it into a oh, Owen, what's it called? It's on the Squadrons game.
What?
It's the one. It's got a giant tractor beam on the front of it. So the idea is that it can lock onto an enemy, hold it in place while it just bombards it. It's made out of uh, old Star Destroyer parts. Now I'm trying to have to figure out what that one's called. But anyways, I'll let you guys talk while I look that up.
Yeah, so another big spoiler. Thrawn doesn't show up in the first two episodes at all, so we don't know what's going on there yet. Ezra shows up as a hologram. We see Hera Syndulla, Sabina Wren, Chopper. Did we see anyone else from? Well, obviously Ahsoka, but she's in the title, so.
Yeah.
Hmm. And we believe that Ray Stevenson's character is a former Jedi who now has an apprentice, but is not a Jedi anymore. And we have one Inquisitor still, and a Night Sister apparently. So we have quite the motley crew so far for Team Evil.
So the type of starship is the Starhawk, is what it's called.
That picture.
Yes, it is. That.
Oh yeah, they have one of those for the Armada game.
Yeah, so the idea is that it's got a tractor beam array on the front, so it's pretty much got the power plant of a Imperial Star Destroyer, and they use a tractor beam. They, at least in the Squadrons game, is powerful enough to start with an unshielded Star Destroyer to start ripping the hull apart.
Yeah, see that's one of those things I have a problem with.
Well, no, the Star Destroyer was trying to reverse.
No, not that.
No.
So like. In the middle of the Galactic Civil War, when they don't have Star Destroyers to build those things out of, someone just randomly designed one. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean,
like the other fighters, I get. They can build fighters. They've proven that, or they're buying them from somebody or whatever. But, like, reverse engineering a Star Destroyer into another ship, like, I don't buy it. Like, I think they would just keep building Mon Calamari ships.
Or doing what they did before as they repurposed the Star Destroyers.
Yeah, or capturing Star Destroyers.
Because at least in some of the stories, there are at least one or two Super Star Destroyers that the New Republic had captured.
See, there you go. I mean, that makes more sense to me.
Like the one super, I think one of them was one of the Super Star Destroyers that was buried on Coruscant that when it took off just leveled.
I'm pretty sure that one got destroyed. Because that was the one that Izard had in the old EU. That's where the secret prison was. People was wondering where it was. Well, it was aboard a Super Star Destroyer buried underneath part of Coruscant. So, yeah, like I said, I think that one got destroyed. The one Warlord Zinj had got destroyed. The new one he had got destroyed. Then obviously the one above the Death Star got destroyed.
So, we did see an Inquisitor come back, and it was an unnamed Inquisitor so far. No reveal on that. So that was kind of a weird dynamic. That's why it made me wonder if they were Dark Jedi or if they were part of the Inquisitorium or whatever the Inquisitorius, which they have kept making mentions back to, because in Obi-Wan he went, obviously he had that, and then
the Inquisitors were everywhere in Obi-Wan because that was still the height of the Empire.
Yeah, so it's nice that there's some connections back to that.
Yeah, speaking of Super Star Destroyers, part of their plan was to take the hyperdrive from one, which they did, to build a gigantic hyperdrive ring, which I'm guessing the purpose is to get to the other galaxy with that. I just don't know if there's going to be a ship that goes into it, or if there's going to be a ship at the other end that's going to go into it.
Yeah, because it kind of looked like a giant hyperspace ring that they were creating. So like what the Jedi starfighters had to use to hyperspace to like Geonosis or wherever. Yeah, just imagine that, but big enough to fit. Probably look like you could fit a star destroyer in it.
Yeah, at the very least. So, but yeah, speculation here. Some of the parts for the Thrawn trilogy seem to be in place, or potential parts anyway, because his whole plan hinged on having a big fleet, which, if they pull out the Star Forge, is the quick workaround. Because in the original book, it's the Lost Republic fleet, which necessitated clones. Which, if you have the Star Forge, you don't need clones. Um, and then, of course, you need a Dark Jedi to power the Star Forge, which we have, and a Night Sister and an Inquisitor. And he also had the clone, Jerus Sabaoth, in the original trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy. And to take his place, we have like 4 other options. So, like, it's all maybe kind of sort of there if they want to go for it. We'll just have to see what actually happens. But
I am curious to see how, because I noticed that when they were showing like the time list of each episode, that the episodes keep getting shorter. Which don't get me wrong, I'm fine with the shorter episodes if there's not a need to put filler in it, because there's no need to drag out.
yeah, because the second one of this was like 45 minutes. So
Yeah, episode one was like 54 minutes, and this one was uh, 45 or
down to
44.
the final episodes, it's gonna be the credits.
I'll be all right with that.
I won't. I want action.
So did they mention the space whales during the episode? Because I
Uh,
saw it during the credits.
they're in the credits. Like the artwork for them showing them. I don't think they mentioned what actually happened to Ezra and Thrawn. I think they're assuming that you watched Rebels. So
And I haven't watched all of Rebels, so
yeah. So those of you out there who haven't, you probably better watch it all right now. Because I definitely need to go brush up on some of the things towards the very end.
Yeah, because they just kind of throw you in the deep end and hope you know who these characters are.
Yeah, like for instance, having not watched the end, I had no idea Sabine was training to be a Jedi. I didn't even know if that's in the series. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But totally news to me.
well, she
So,
does get Qui-Gon in the episode, so
yes, but she survived. Unlike
yeah.
Qui Gon,
What?
who I would have thought Qui Gon would have, being on an advanced planet there with in the Imperial Palace and everything. Like,
Well, and I think it was she got stabbed definitely like in the spot where it's like where people can get shot and not bleed out. So like in her side.
that's really only in movies.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's actually one of the most painful places to be shot in
But
your liver.
but I think Qui Gon kind of got like right through.
Yeah, yeah.
He had no stomach left probably after.
That's all right. What's her name? Literally is like robot from like
Yeah.
the bottom of her rib cage to her pelvis.
Well, yeah. After they did what they did with Finnick, I'm just like, I mean that pretty much just means anyone can.
Qui Gon got Optimus Primed, is what happened.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm sure there are some of you, in the Transformers animated movie from the 80s, Optimus Prime gets like shot like in the lower torso by Megatron a couple times, and then like every kid in America got to watch him slowly die on the operating table and fade to black. Roughly 45 minutes later,
Or
Ultra Magnus gets blown into a million damn pieces, gets put back together. They put a coat of wax on him, and he's just fine. He pops back up, and he's like, "Hey, what happened? Where's the Matrix?" So yeah, he got Optimus primed.
So.
Also, fun side note: like roughly 2 months after the movie came out, they brought back Optimus Prime in the TV series. Yeah, I'm serious. I saw the honest trailers for it like about a month ago, and they had a thing like the guy from Hasbro's like, yeah, we needed to bring in the new characters. We just killed them all off. It's like literally 2 months later, the return of Optimus Prime for the cartoon series. So yeah, that's my not so great impression of the guy who used to do the commercials for that. I have no idea who that was, by the way.
So Owen, any other tidbits? Any other speculations or
Hmm. Not at the current moment.
I'm excited to see where they go with it. I say after a kind of lackluster Mandalorian season 3,
Yeah.
I'm
Which again, check out our review on that.
yes. I'm not saying it. The Mandalorian though it gave us two decent, one or two, like I said, the first two seasons were pretty good. Season 3 just I think kind of faltered a little bit, and sometimes there maybe, and again, it's the same thing with the Book of Boba Fett. I think it had a good premise to it. I think it cut off too short, and now you're left
Jim,
wondering.
I'm not gonna lie. The end of season 2 of The Mandalorian almost brought a tear to my eye. Like after how Luke got shit on in the sequel trilogy,
Yeah, it was good to see him come back.
seeing him come back, be the like just whirlwind of destruction that he should have been at that point with his powers, and then like, all right, Grogu, let's go restart the Jedi Order. As like, yeah, if everything just stops here, I'll just ignore the sequel trilogy exists and just make it up all on my own.
Well, they need to bring back the Dark Troopers, and
Yeah, the Dark Troopers were awesome.
yes,
They are one of the only two Star Wars Black Series figures that I own.
Which I also own.
The other's Darth Revan.
Which I also own.
Yeah. And by Darth Malik, he's out now, and I think Bastila. So.
now, do they just have regular Jedi Bastila, or do they have Dark?
At the moment, it's Jedi Bastila.
I'd like to see.
If it's anything like the Marvel Legends and GI Joe figures they make, they'll make the Dark Bastila figure. So. The real question is, will they make figures from KOTOR 2?
I mean, they already have Darth Nihilus.
Well, there you go. I need to pick him up. Is he like $1 million online because he's out of print or something?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think he's out of print, but he's not that expensive.
All right, well, I'll have to look into that. Unlike the Lego Darth Revan that I sold for like $300. I mean, it was still in the package. I'll just buy a knockoff at like Comic Con. Unfortunately, he'll never mix my other Legos, though. I'm a Lego purist. He'll have to hang out with the Mega Blocks.
The only
Go ahead.
The only real complaint I have is at one point, Ahsoka just kind of lets Sabine walk off with the map.
Yeah, because
yeah.
So there's a scene where Sabine's asking, "Hey, can I take the map back to my place so that I can look at it, examine it?" And Ahsoka's like, "No, that's a terrible idea." And soon as she said that, I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sabine's
we all knew that she was going to leave the room. She was going to come back. Sabine was going to be gone. The only surprise was that Sabine put up all the furniture before she left.
They left a cup on the floor.
Yeah.
Because the table rose up out of the ground. She was polite enough to put down the table, but not put her cup up. She left it on the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm here the whole time, like, she's going to walk off. She's going to do this. I'm like, it's not creative. I mean, really, you would have subverted expectation if she would have come back and she would have still been there.
Yeah.
Because then people have been like, wait, what? But, now, like I say, the moment that had me excited was the fact that they brought back Home One.
Yeah.
Now this
and possibly Akbar. We don't know if that wasn't him talking at the one point.
Hopefully it is.
Because, I mean, it's not like they announced him in the other movie 10 seconds before they killed him. Goddamn Last Jedi.
Yes. Because, yes, I have some hope that, because...
Would you say it's a new hope?
Yes, it's a new hope that Akbar is it's a new hope.
Or are we all just setting ourselves up for the Empire to strike back?
And I'm really hoping to see the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, there we go.
And hopefully the Force doesn't awaken.
No, it can stay asleep.
And we don't need the Last Jedi.
Nope.
Nor do we need to see the Rise of Skywalker.
Well, depends.
I just consider the sequel trilogy a Phantom Menace.
Well, heck, with your speculation, we may see Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. And depending on how these other two Dark Jedi go, we might see some revenge from the Sith on this one. So,
well, this is the quality content that you're come in here to expect. So, um,
Oh, that was so tortured, but it's good. Yeah,
But it is a Star Wars story.
yeah.
but no,
Yeah,
I
just as
mean,
long as one of them didn't decide to fly solo.
no, no, it's. I
I
have
defy you to work the last title insert now.
what?
Rogue One.
Well, because it is the Rogue One.
Yeah, I can't figure that one out. No, that's it gives me hope that maybe that they kind of
Maybe some lessons have been learned.
well, and I think the material is kind of like okay, well, this is how it has to kind of fit in here. Here's how these people are. This is where they left off, and this is where they come in. Versus the Mandalorian, it's them kind of making it up all the way they go. Same thing, even kind of with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But Boba Fett had a established backstory. That's why it started off with him climbing out of the Sarlacc pit because he had to start somewhere. So, start where he left off.
He's just a humble man making his way through the galaxy, Jim.
Yes. But no, I'm definitely excited. I mean, I'm ready
Yeah.
for the
How many episodes did you say are in this?
seven's what I believe they said.
They're not giving much shorter. We got 5 episodes to get through a Thrawn plot. Like, unless this whole season's just like the setup for like season 2.
Or season 1 of Thrawn.
Yeah. Yeah. We might not get our Mandalorian episode out of this. Although it's going to beg the question of why Sabine's not with the other Mandalorians.
Yeah, as much as people like Grogu, I'm hoping that they don't try to shoehorn him in here somehow.
Well, and that is also one thing we're going to have to potentially consider here. Is that if we're not just abandoning the sequel trilogy, and I don't think they're going to, unfortunately, like several of these characters are either going to have to just like walk away from everything or die because they're just not around. Like, let's say they get Thrawn and Ezra, okay? Because I'm obviously that's what's going to happen. Unless Ezra dies here, he's a Jedi. He's not like Ahsoka with her, oh, I'm no Jedi, even though I basically follow the Jedi principles and would, really help trying to bring back the Jedi. Like, Ezra's in on the Jedi thing. He would go join Luke, you know, and he clearly doesn't.
In maybe, I mean, because maybe the Jedi Academy was only for training.
Sure, but then we still got the whole like, well, where the hell are the rest of them? Like, why didn't someone come and just like put down Kylo Ren,
Well,
or Snoke?
referring to the sequel trilogy in The Rise of Skywalker, one of the voices that Rey hears during that one scene is Ahsoka's.
See, there you go. So
So
maybe she has to die again.
Well, I mean, she's already supposedly in this series supposed to be in her 40s.
Yeah, but
I don't know what the Togruta lifespan is.
sure, but how much farther in the future would it be? Like 20 years, maybe 30?
I mean, because Luke's still around.
Yeah, I mean, Luke's still alive. He's not super old, you know. He's dealing with one of Han's kids.
Hey,
that's,
but
that's not that far. But you see what I'm saying? Like
they have the perfect way to do the reset. But though I heard that they're going to be doing some additional expansions with Rey. I don't know, but there were already time travel shenanigans with Rebels, so this gives the perfect way of
yeah, it's built into the system now. Now that we have time travel in Star Wars, why not? Make the sequel trilogy the expanded universe and go off on a good idea instead of how to destroy a franchise idea.
Yeah,
I think that would bring people. I think it would alienate some people because they're like, well, you just now you just got the reset button. You're getting the MCU problem now of the stakes literally don't matter anymore after Endgame.
well, yeah, because the multiverse.
Yeah, the multiverse and time travel. Like you've got them both. Like, what does it matter when anyone dies? Oh no, they're really dead, for sure. For those of you who are only listening, I'm winking my eye as hard as humanly possible.
Surprised the camera doesn't pick that up.
Yeah,
or the mic don't pick it up.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a speculation. But overall, I'm excited, like Jim is. Our speculation on Star Wars tends to not pan out at all, so it probably won't be the Thrawn trilogy, but we'll see.
So I'm assuming that they're going to try to get this to run into almost into Loki season 2. I'm assuming because it's October 6th is when it.
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, like I would think they'd be smarter about their.
Well, I think with the 5 weeks, that would pretty much put it right before. I don't know if there'd be a week break in between the two, or it would go from one right to the next one. But
Because, like, see, HBO, for those of you that don't have HBO does it really smart. Whatever their big show is, it ends, and usually either the night that it ends, the next show starts, or it starts like the next Sunday. There's no gap. Like, their shows are just right on top of each other so that you stay subscribed. And Disney, their big problem is probably content between, they haven't figured out that the MCU and Star Wars is very similar, probably a lot of overlap in the fan base. And I see this also on Shudder. A lot of people only subscribe to that for Joe Bob Briggs' show. It's the highest rated show on Shudder. It's the entire reason the thing still exists. And a lot of people said, the easy way to do this, since he does a certain number of episodes, is record a few more episodes and just release them every other week, and you'd last the entire year, or release them like every 3 weeks or something. So people have to stay subscribed. It'd be the better solution for them. It'd piss off some people, but other people would be like, no, I want the show. I can't just, and especially with Shudder, you can't just binge watch because they lose the rights to some of the movies. So if you try to binge watch after the season's over, some of the episodes just aren't there. So, but anyway, that's a whole wild tangent. Anyway, looking forward to the rest of this. Really hope it's good. It's good so far. If this is so far, I think Andor is the real winner on the Star Wars show front. I know some people don't think that. Some people didn't watch it. They should. But in my mind, it's the gem. It's better than any damn thing in the sequel trilogy, and it gets to the core of the Rebel Empire conflict. And so I don't know if we're going to get that out of this, but I have high hopes.
well, and I think what you're going to look more out of this is it's going to follow more of the formula of like Rogue One and stuff like that, where it's
Yeah, it's probably more like the movies. It's the big adventure, going to do the thing, and take out the bad guy, and somewhere along the way might be some vague Eastern philosophy thrown in there.
yeah. But I think overall it's going to be more for general audiences. While I
Yeah.
think the other one was more for probably I'd say older crowd because I don't imagine a lot of kids got a.
Oh no, from Andor.
I know even Owen didn't want to watch most of Andor.
It's not to this show's discredit. It's just that I found it interesting, but I can't say it was thrilling.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
supposed to be.
That's the problem. It's not supposed to be. It's probably also not super rewatchable either, because like it's more about what would an empire like that really truly be like on a day to day basis, and what would it really be like trying to fight that, and that's not interesting to a lot of people, but it's also not action packed. It's not gripping. It's not thrilling. It's tedious
Well,
because a lot of it is just the mind numbing evil of the bureaucracy. You know.
well, I mean that's why there was at least one point in Andor where when he was on the prison planet or whatever, putting together stuff, you kind of felt like you were there. It was like you felt like you were trapped in that because there was no sunlight, no
Yeah.
whatever. You were just the whole episode was just stark and white and what they were doing. So I don't imagine this show's going to get quite that dark. I think I mean, obviously, I think it's going to be very similar to how season 3 of Mandalorian was, whereas yeah, you're going to have a bad guy, you're going to have evil guy, but it's going to be
Well,
I wouldn't say mustache twirling because Thrawn's
if
more.
if Thrawn is depicted properly, big if,
Hmm.
he's not evil. Well, he's not evil, period, but he's not evil for the sake of evil. He wants order. That's why he believes in the Empire, even though he's an alien and the Empire is incredibly xenophobic. He wants order. Now, he's willing to kill and destroy to get that order. That's why he's the bad guy. But his overall goal is just for an ordered, structured society where there is no conflict. And unlike the Emperor, he's not doing it because he's just some power mad Sith Lord. You know, he wants everything just to flow like a clock, and that's just not how reality works. So, but he doesn't do it because he's a psychopath. He doesn't do it because he enjoys doing it. He doesn't take pleasure in killing people. He takes pleasure in defeating people for sure, because he's a tactical genius and can. I don't even know if they're going to go into this, but like he can look at a culture's artwork and figure out the psychology behind how they do things and defeat them as efficiently as possible with the lowest loss of life necessary.
Well, I know he did that with when he was taking over Ryloth.
Yeah.
He, yeah, I think that was in Rebels when he was just analyzing because it was a. Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. What's her name's?
Hera.
Yeah, Hera. Her. Um, I think he was just taunting her because he was talking about her culture and all of this
Yeah.
and how he just studied it all and really he found it kind of, you know. But if you know anything about living on Ryloth, Ryloth is not a very nice place to live.
No.
It
produced Bib Fortuna. It can't be that good.
Well, it routine.
Although I think he's considered an outcast there, isn't he? If I remember right. There was something he did that he was willing to do that a lot of them weren't, and they considered it evil. I don't remember what it was.
Well, he's willing to sell his own people into slavery.
That's what it was. Which is evil. I mean, slavery is evil in general, but, you know.
Especially when you're like, hey, these are my own people. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, Ryloth was all about that because that's how they were able to expand across the galaxy because they were like, well, we don't have the capabilities of building starships. People desire, you know, and they desire the women of Ryloth, so that's why, you know, Jabba had one dancing in his palace and all of that. But no, one of the things in Ryloth, at least according to one of the stories that I saw, was that it occasionally has where like the entire surface will just become like an inferno, like it'll just burn. That's why they were all living underground.
Yeah,
like all their things are underground because kind of like I say kind of like Mercury, but where there's a point in time where actually I guess it's more like the the one
like the planet in Riddick.
Riddick, yes, exactly. That's what I was going with. Where it would have like a part of the sun, you know, where it would just burn and scorch the, you know, the whole planet. It doesn't do that all the time, but they did have storms that would just come and scorch the surface, and that's why most people live.
Which in Riddick should have made the surface completely unlivable. There shouldn't have been any oxygen with fire raging like that constantly, which would inevitably put the fire out.
But anyways, we're rambling on past our single topic thing here. Owen, any closing?
I've not gotten to read the Thrawn trilogy yet.
You do have it, though.
I do have it. I've started reading the first book, but I have so many other books I have to read, I don't know when I'll get to it.
Sorry for probably horribly spoiling 30-year-old books for you, everyone.
It's fine.
On that note, I want to just throw in The Last Command, which is the third book in the trilogy. It's one of the only books I've ever read twice. Because someone bought it for me, and I didn't realize it was part 3 of a trilogy when I was like 12, somewhere in there. And so I read that one, and I was like, well, what the hell's going on through part of this? And I picked up the rest of it, and I was like, well, this has to be part of it, you know. And then I finally, several years later, bought the other two. And after I read them, I was like, well, I should go ahead and read the third one so I'll understand the context of everything now. So I'm not one to reread books very often. So debating on rereading Dune, so I know what is and isn't in the movie, the sequel that's coming out soon. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's all that we have then, and I want to definitely try to keep this a little shorter so that we can get it up.
Well, I think that ship has probably sailed, but
yeah, it's all right. It's short enough that we can still get it out there, and
yeah. So we're recording this on Tuesday, right after having watched the episodes. Depending on how quickly I can edit it, it's going to be up before the end of Wednesday for sure, but hopefully tonight. Well, I mean, it won't be tonight because of time, but it'll be like maybe sometime this morning.
All right. So, well, all right. Honestly, you know, thanks again for joining us on another Cabal Whisperings, and let us know your thoughts of the episodes when you've watched them. See if you think about the same way that we do, and
or not.
Or not.
Definitely or not, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we're just all speculating. We're all just, on that hype train at the moment. We may be...
Choo-choo.
Anything that you're looking forward to? Anything that you want to see happen? Definitely, again, leave those in the comments down below. And
Yeah, other than that, check us out on Facebook and Twitter also. It's where we advertise the episodes are coming up for the moment. And Jim also posts funny memes that he finds on the Facebook page. So check us out there. Also, some of our coverage from Gen Con is still just on there. And look out for the rest of our Gen Con stuff coming over the next few weeks as I edit through it. So,
All right.
yep. So in that case, folks, thanks again, like Jim said, and
Come on, we got to do the Star Wars one. May the Force be with you.
there we go. I was trying to think of something. I was going for like a long time ago, and it's totally scrambled. But yeah, may the force be with you
Always.
always.